in our view every single day, and how is it that we can turn a blind eye to it? When it's looking us, and now here's another thing. If that man doesn't have his rights, what makes you think you do?
They can be taken away just as simple.
And here's another thing. If one person in our community lacks justice, how can there be halls of justice or men who can discern what justice is? They can't, because that man doesn't have justice over there. Their halls of justice are hollow mockery. It's just a big show that they're putting on to themselves to pretend that they care about justice. When he's proof they don't care about justice.
What do you think we can do as fellow brothers and sisters, as fellow neighbors? How can we do better in terms of helping our community?
It's the easiest thing of all to rectify this. All one has to do is look over there and see a human being and treat him as such.
Simple.
It is. So we have to ask ourselves, how have we been robbed of our ability to perceive a human in front of us? And I'm going to explain if you'd like to know.
Yes.
Money is the tool that dehumanizes us. As I pointed out, it says your human worth is locked up in this dead object. And so because they all believe that they have no human worth, they are suffering an inferiority complex. And that inferiority is driving them to try and convince themselves every day they're worthy of being acknowledged in their humanity. And so they're working at jobs, they're acquiring material wealth, everything they've been told that will make them, their expression as human, acceptable on the earth. So right now what we're seeing is people aren't acceptable about the fact that other humans exist on earth with them. It's a narcissistic personality disorder that our social mind is suffering, because some person thinks that they need another person to approve of them on earth. Who do they want to approve of them is another person that says, you're not welcome on earth unless I approve of you. And the person goes, you're right. You're better than me. I know you don't approve of me, society. So if I give you these dead objects that I know you love more than me, you love this more than me, I know that. This is of more value to you than this living being is. If I give you this, will you let me go over there and sleep and have what I call a home and let me have peace? Oh, of course you will. Now that I've given you this, you'll allow me to have a home.
Oh, gosh.
But if I take this away and say, I'm not going to give you this anymore, I'm your equal, I'm going to go over there, and if you're a man, you'll treat me like a man and leave me alone over there. And he says, oh, if you won't give me this, I'm going to harass you and make your life miserable until you agree to love what I love more than you. You should love this more than your life, and you should say, this is more valuable than my life. Here, I give it to you so that you will allow me to have life. Understand, every government operates because they have given themselves authority to commit violence on their equal. Every government is installed because they alone are allowed to commit violence on people. This is violence. These people will suffer an early demise. We just locked up a man who was driving railroad spikes through the skulls of homeless people. And the one of the 6 people that survived asked him, why are you doing this to me? And he said, because you're a bum. So he murdered them, and this is why we're being murdered. We are the man of hate in George Orwell's 1984. The imaginary man that the masses have been told, focus your hate on this person. This is the man you should hate, not me. So while you're looking down your nose at that guy, you're not thinking about how much better all those people are than you. And so there's this ingrained inferiority complex in here that society has planted subconsciously in your mind, that it's got you struggling every day to prove to yourself first you're worthy to be a human here, and hopefully convince others of that fact. But what we should do is know, because I've been given an equal measure of life as you've been given, as she's been given, as she's been given, that I am not only worthy to be here, but I'm intentful and purposeful in my design. I'm supposed to fucking be here. And they must ask themselves, he already exists, why can't we accept it? He can't undo his existence any more than I can. Why can't I accept that he exists alongside of me? So they are socially engineered to feel inferior, that they will run and jump through hoops so they can have what they are worthy of, what the earth provides in abundance for free. Food, all the materials to make clothing and shoes, all the materials to build shelter. There's no shortage of stone, metal smelted up out of the ground, timber that grows in trees on this earth, at all places of land to put it. There's no shortage of all. Yet every day you open the paper, it says, there's a housing crisis. There's a housing shortage. It's because we believe and equate money with our human rights. And so if you lack money, you're going to lack the material needs that you need. Now what happens is you've committed a community where people see that they have need and they are lacking, and now they commit crime to go get what they need and feel they're deserving of, and they are.
And they don't need to commit those crimes, but they make it to where if you don't commit the crimes, you don't have your basic human needs.
If you try to free yourself from enslavement, social enslavement, you're in danger of being murdered. You're bucking the system because you're waking up to the fact that no dead object can exceed your worth, and this is not what they want you to think. They want you to think private property, that you have ownership of things here that you could never own. You understand? We are here, if we were naked in the Sahara Desert, kings, queens, common worker bees, poor people, naked in the desert as a group, no one would stand up and go, I am better than you, serve me. You'll do this, I'll stand here and do nothing. You'll get water, you'll find me food.
Like, what the hell? You're naked too.
Exactly. This is the point. We are all equally vulnerable in our humanity. And we are on Earth, and it's supposed to be an experiment where we are stripped naked in the desert. And what we would do is offer whatever gifts that our DNA endowed us with to survive as a unit. We wouldn't be mocking one another and lofting ourselves above one another and saying, you're shit and useless to me. We would just cooperate. We wouldn't have jobs in a pecking order. Jobs are a pecking order where one's greater and one's least. We would cooperate because that shows our equality, and everybody contributes what they have. And you know what? Because we're a society and a group, those who have little bits to contribute will gather up more than they need. And we'll take care of the ones that are so weak and impoverished or crippled that they don't have something. We can take care of them because there's more of us that have our little pieces to give. But in this society, we demand from this one who can't even do. It's your fault you're like that. Consider, we open the door for a woman as we go into 7-Eleven. Why? It's to show we care about women. We honor women. And then we leave her in the street. Here's another one. We have Special Olympics for the mentally ill. They're special because they don't process information the same way we do. They can't even take care of themselves. They need us to help them. That's why they're special. They comprise 1/3 of our chronically homeless population in this nation.
Wow.
The mentally ill. How can we say we're a country that cares about, we're patriots that care about our fellow men? When we leave old women, veterans without knees, living in wheelchairs out here, women, children, name it, are out here. And you know why? You know what their crime is? They won't believe the way the rest of them believe. The majority believes this way, and the minority believes this way. This is ethnic racism. This is where the group that believes a certain way oppresses the group that doesn't believe like them and attempts to murder them because they won't believe the same way. So every way you look at homelessness, it's nothing but sheer racism. It's the first step of racism you'll never get rid of. How can black lives be equal to white lives when homeless people are equal to human beings?
That'll fix a lot of, because you gotta fix the structure first.
How do black lives matter when homeless black lives don't matter? How can you go stand on the corner and hold up a piece of cardboard professing you care about human equality and you know what it is, and then put your sign down to go home and walk right back past that black man who sits in the doorway every single day while you go to the world and say, Black Lives Matter! Now I'm gonna walk past his black ass and leave him out there to die just like he's a dog or a rabbit and go home because I stood on the corner and convinced myself of a lie that I care about human equality. And this is what we're doing. We're just absolving ourselves of making any effort whatsoever. Understand, more than enough tax dollars are earmarked out of your paycheck, sir, and everyone else's, and mine for the 41 years that I worked, earmarked to lift the poor up out of poverty. Do you know where it goes? It goes in the hands of not-for-profit corporations that are nothing but privately held, modeled on a corporate structure where they've replaced boards. The boards of directors are the investors who give. What do they call those guys in the corporate?
The investors.
On the stock exchange, you get, and then you get the money back.
Yeah,
okay, so that's what they've replaced them with. They call them the board of directors. You understand? They
but
get
they're
a
really
paycheck
investor.
out of. Understand? If you need to pay yourself to do what is right, if you need to get paid to rectify poverty, you've institutionalized poverty permanently. Because you need it to exist to get your paycheck.
Now, when you go in to help poverty and you're just taking care of your basic needs, food, clothes, and shelter, and you give yourself a reasonable compensation, but not like interest, not like profit, you know, that's acceptable. But not to get rich, not to have, you know, a 5-bedroom house and you're a single person.
You're talking about an economy that serves human need instead of an economy that thrives off of human need. Understand, we have infrastructure set up all over the world to deliver goods all over the world for the sake of people? No. For the sake of money, we have infrastructure set up all over the... Because if those people can pay us for that barge full of grain in Ethiopia, then we'll let them have the barge full of... So if we changed our ideology to meet human needs first, and then that's why all these things exist. Understand, the pizza maker don't make pizza because he cares about humans. He doesn't make pizza because he wants to feed people.
I got you.
If people don't buy his pizza, he'll throw it in the dumpster to keep the price of pizza up.
And not only that, is that we throw away all this food at the end of the night.
They say like 40% of the food that we produce, we throw in the garbage. And yet there are people suffering.
Starving.
I've been to the other countries where people, they're here.
They're here.
In this country starving. I see people picking out of the garbage can to survive. I've been that guy picking out of the garbage can because I've asked people if I only had 2 more cents, can you help me with 2 cents getting out of their cars? You know how many? I've been turned down so many times that I don't dare ask anybody for 2 fucking. I sincerely only need 2 pennies. And people will not give you that. But then they'll go over and they'll look at this car, this dead object, and go, woo.
The dead object.
And they'll talk to one another about it. And the thoughts create reality. So they're all thinking about, oh, look at this cool car. Oh, you're so cool. This is your car. And there's a human being right here.
Stuck.
That they don't even see him. Oh, they see him.
But they don't.
Right, because it's natural to look at a person when you pass by them. So you see people making the most extreme effort to look away and not acknowledge them. It's so easy to just look somebody in the eye. The inferiority complex, it's how they steer us. When I asked why, I said, okay, because Gavin Nascimento, a South African guy who put on a show for an hour and a half on YouTube once I watched. And he enlightened me to a couple of things that I was unaware of. And I was frankly shocked that he knew so many of the things that I had learned in my homeless condition. And he said that NASA hired a neuropsychologist to devise a test where they could test their scientists and see who was the brightest of the crew. And the man made the test. NASA paid him for it, used it, it worked perfectly. And because it was an aptitude test, it just measures your ability to comprehend. The man, not NASA, the man who made the test, applied it to 5 and 6-year-old children. A test group of 2,500 of them. Now, out of that 2,500, at 5 and 6 years old, his test group was, 98% of them tested at genius and above.
Let's go.
Now wait, he makes this a longitudinal study, and the man follows his 2,500 subjects until they're 30, periodically retesting them. By the time the same group of children reach 30, only 2% have retained their genius status. So our children come here brighter than we. have become. And we begin to dumb them down, take away from them their genius because we've allowed it to happen to us. And it's a perpetual cycle. So I wondered, how can we become stupid when we're geniuses? And I found the answer. Here's the answer. There's two in you. There's two minds in you. There's two. There's your mammalian man mind. The mammal's mind thinks the same, whether it's in a dog, an ox, a bunny, a man. It's a mammal. It thinks eat, sleep, territorial, procreate, pecking order. That's all it needs to think. It's downloaded in its DNA. It's all it needs to think because that's all it needs to survive on Earth. Food, shelter, clothing, sleep, to procreate, to reproduce yourself. So, my beast mind thinks eat, sleep, territorial, procreate, pecking order. That's all it's thinking because it wants to survive. My higher self, as Hinduism calls it, my Christ consciousness, as Christian calls it,
Krishna,
says share, justice, equality. Where my beast mind says grab the carcass and run under the bush with it. My God mind says sit down at the table and share a meal together. Why? Symbolizing our equality. We're higher than the beasts, yeah. So my God mind, I think it's one with my beast mind when I'm trained the right way. But if I start looking around at the expressions that the God mind makes out of the beast, that building would be one, these cars would be one, none of the mammals are doing this. So it's a higher, more intelligent being in there as well. So when it doesn't identify itself and it thinks it's the beast, it says things that are self-loathing. Because it disassociates from the beast. It says, this is my body, as though it stands sovereign and has existence without the body. It possesses the body as though it owns it, right? That higher self, thinking it's the beast, might say, you stink, put on deodorant. Shave for society's approval. Don't fart here, it's inappropriate. You can't pee there, people will see you. These are things the beast wants to do. It wants to urinate, it wants to fart, it wants to hump her leg. This is
regular
what comes
stuff, yeah.
And the God mind, its owner, is going, no, bad boy, you can't do that. You can't be natural. You can't fart here. You can't pee there. And guess what the beast is doing? It's doing what its master tells it. Your God mind has the ability to override your programming of your beast. It's listening to it, right? Even though it's suffering by doing so, it's more upholding to its master than its own need to urinate and defecate. So once you find yourself, your higher self, you'll look at your beast and its mind and go, oh, you're like my dog on the leash. You're not very smart after all. You can only think about those things. And I've been saying, bad boy, you're bad for thinking those things. I've been hitting you on the nose with a newspaper for being something that you're designed by your DNA to be. I'm so sorry. You know what you are is my best friend. And what you are is a mirror for me to find myself in. And I look like this higher self. But now I accept you. I accept that you only think that way, boy. And I hope you don't stab that guy who's fucking with you, but if you do, I'll protect you, boy. I'll defend you in court while everybody tries to tell you you're a bad person. I've got your back. You belong to me and I love you. Fuck all of them if they don't. Now, my beast, he starts wagging his tail. Oh my God, for the first time, his master's not scolding him. He's not saying, oh, you're a pedophile. Don't look at that little girl with bows in her hairs. He can't help that. He just is. It's his God self that's criticizing him because he hasn't identified that he's not the beast. Doesn't have to act like the beast. Now, when you start petting my beast, he starts emulating my program. He starts wanting to be like the master because the master's not beating the hell out of him anymore. And now he likes his master. And now he doesn't believe in territorialism anymore. He doesn't believe he needs to procreate even. He doesn't believe in mine. He's sharing. He's doing contrary to his beast program because he found his higher self. So how did they become so stupid, I said, and I realized. Because the inferiority complex takes you away from your higher mind and roots you in your beast. And every day you wake up worried about how your beast looks to yourself and to everybody else out there. And you're making apologies for how it is. I'm sorry it farted. Oh, I'm so embarrassed it farted.
I'm sorry for being happy. I'm sorry
that
for
I'm
walking
fucking a
around
beast
and
like you. Hey, all of
smiling.
it. All of it.
And
all
people
of it.
look at some of us and think, you know, this guy has too much energy, or this guy is, you know, too happy about life, or he's got, you know, all this other stuff. And I'm just acting like a regular person. Like,
You're right. You must have it happen too. And I'm not just the people. The homeless people yesterday threatened to beat me because of just what you said. I got too much energy, you know. I think they thought I was bragging, but I was only just trying to share
yeah.
information that I learned. And this was unbeknownst. I just learned it myself and was staggered by it. And so I thought I would share it with
Yeah.
you, you know?
It is exciting.
And at first they're all like you, but then they become, because I think the truth, I found that anytime you live in truth inside of yourself, it starts to ooze out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to be honest with the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
And people that are not wanting to be don't like to hear the truth. Because it makes us all responsible. We're not victims here, but we're large and in charge. But a lot of people would rather remain a victim in this realm and perceive themselves as such.
I appreciate you. You changed my life today. You helped me out with a lot of understanding, knowledge, and wisdom.
Well, you already had these things, but we forget when we jump into the flesh these things. So I can't say you're welcome because you're worthy. And you have access to that higher knowledge. Anybody does that wants to talk to it and question it. And obviously that you're discerning, why do we have a life? What's it for? What's its intent and purpose to it, you know? And you're paying attention. And so that's why these things speak to you. But understand they already belong to you. They're already yours. Because you can hear and understand it from me means you've already contemplated these things from within. And what you might be struggling with is coming into full force, allowing that to be, you know what I mean? No, you know, I'm right. And if they say I'm wrong, they're the ones that are wrong. Because I've worked really hard to get to this point of knowing. And the things I'm learning are valid. The material reality is reflecting back to me the very ideas that I'm coming to. And so be strong as you can. And it's really hard when you're a tender, loving heart to be strong in a really cruel seeming loveless world, you know. But love is acceptance. Acceptance is love. They're synonyms. You can't have love and not have acceptance. You can't have acceptance and not love. So it's very simple to love one another. Acceptance is the key. But if you don't accept yourself, you're not going to accept me, you know. But we're all divine expressions of humanity wrapped up in a blueprint called DNA, and we can't unravel that strand and rearrange that genome if we wanted to. So imperative that we come quick with being all right with self, being in love with self, and let that program shine. Let him play the character on the stage of life to his highest degree. Don't hold back on him at all. Because look at the people that are ashamed of us, should be ashamed at how narcissistic and dehumanized and sick they are, and they have no conscience in it whatsoever. And so to me, that's not helping our reality. But I don't run around telling them, you're so wrong doing that, because I was once blind too, and I didn't know these things either. And so
I appreciate you.
I appreciate hearing that, because some days I want to kill myself, because knowing these things, you're all alone in it, and nobody else hardly seems like is in that.
But I see you.
So you make me feel human again. I gotta tell you, I'm more grateful for you stopping and talking to me than anything I had to say to you. It really means a lot more to me. So
I appreciate you.
because you have love. You are love, and I appreciate you being love from above down here. This is what we need. We really do. Thank you so much.
All right, you have a great day, all right?